Welcome to Beyond the Playbook, where leaders reveal the real-world pivots, setbacks, and creative strategies that shape their biggest wins.
So, Adrian, welcome to Beyond the Playbook podcast. So glad to have you, man.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super happy to be here.
And just for everybody, where are you calling in from?
I live in Bucharest, Romania, eastern part of Europe, very close to Greece, right? Like a little bit close to Italy, kind of like that
Yeah,
space.
it's fantastic. Well, I'm from Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Virginia area. So we're jumping across the Atlantic and having this conversation. It's fantastic. How's your week going, man?
It's doing good. I told you before we started recording that I'm going to be at 3 conferences, like next week, and the next week, and the next week. So I'm getting ready with some swag for my friends, for my customers, for the people, kind of like that are in my community, and I'm really looking forward to doing that and seeing people.
Yeah, well, thanks so much then for taking the time out to chat with us and share your knowledge and your story.
For sure.
For those who don't know, the viewers, Adrian is the founder and chief builder of AVO. Is it AVO? That's how I say it, right?
It's whatever. Yeah, you can call it. You can spell it. You can pronounce it. Yeah, whatever you want. I called it Avocado. It was called Project Avocado in the beginning, but I couldn't find any domain names, any usernames, and I just slashed it. I said, I'm going to launch this today. I'm just going to call it Avo, and we'll see where it goes. We can change it later. And we never got to actually changing it.
Sometimes you just got to make the decision. Yes.
That was exactly it. I bought the domain. I said, today is the day, and it was out the window.
That's awesome. Well, this is a low-code platform for developers, specifically internal tools, and it's Ruby on Rails. And maybe you can share a little bit more about kind of what the company is and who it's for our audience.
For sure. So it's a developer tool and a low-code tool, and for like the people that are listening and don't quite know what it is. So whenever you're building an application, you have to write the business logic, you have to write the views, what the user sees, you have to write the model which talks to the database and store the data and fetch the data. You have to do a lot of things. And low-code tools, kind of like Avo, instead of writing all of that software, you write mostly in English. Things like, hey, I have a product, and a product has a name and a price and a description and a photo, and belongs to an order or it belongs to a user. And Avo comes in, reads that configuration, and creates this admin panel or dashboard for you where you can see all your products in the database. You can click one, you can view the details, you can hit edit and change the details, you can create new products, delete them, and do all of these things, which like really you do it in every app. You have this admin panel where you manage your users, your plans, your subscriptions, your products, whatever you manage in your domain, in your application domain. So instead of building all of that, you could use Avo and move several times faster than somebody else, your competition or somebody else.
Yeah. And specifically, you're talking low code, so not no code like Replit or Cursor or Lovable. This is something different, where you want to enter in with some knowledge, right?
Yep. So it's kind of like, if you think about it on levels, like no code would be the lowest level, like where you as a user that doesn't know almost like nothing about apps, you can like click and drag and create your UI and kind of tell it what you want to build. Low code is one level above, where you actually need a developer, either you or somebody on your team, to actually build this. And the reason, like, why are there low code tools out there and not just no code, is because sometimes no code doesn't give you that much power. They have some limitations, and then you can go with low code. And with our tool, for example, you can hook in with all the methods and all the models and everything that you have in your app already. So it's kind of like supercharging a developer versus supercharging or making a non-developer a developer in sorts.
Yeah. Well, your background is and your background is in being a developer. That's right.
Yes. So I started, I think, 15 years ago or somewhere around there. I studied accounting and finances and all kinds of other things, like, since high school and in college, and I got my master's degree, and I didn't really love it that much, but I always loved technology and solving problems with technologies. I come from a not a very technology savvy family, but I think, that kind of drew me to it. And I was always tinkering like with websites and tiny apps and tiny things, like even before I had a computer. And after I finished my master's degree, I said, like, I'm going to move to a different city and I'm going to try to be a developer. I've never been employed as a developer. I built hobby projects for me, my family, my friends. But then I moved to a different city. I said, I'm going to get a developer job. It took me a month. I got the crappy developer job. I earned, I think, $200 per month for my first job 15 years ago or something. But I was very happy because I was learning a ton. And I was kind of seeing this like, oh my God, this is for me. I should have done this like a way, a longer time ago. 15 years. I learned a lot. I've been in startups. I've been in corporations. I've done freelancing. I've been in agencies, like all over the place. So I've been trying to learn as much as possible.
It's incredible. I mean, talk about taking a risk, just saying, hey, I don't know this skill, but I really want to pursue it. You've got some background in systems and structures from accounting, but I don't know any of the language. I'm just going to go and get this job. That's really bold.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, talking about risk taking, yeah.
And I think it's like, the way I see it is like, kind of like, instead of seeing a graph that goes up, it's kind of like stepping stones. It's like, you go flat for a while and then you go up and then flat and that's how, I think I did it. And, some other people do it, like, and the flat bit, that's when you get in your comfort zone. So, my first going up phase, the first step was, okay, I'm going to be a developer. And then, I learned a lot, but then I said, okay, I want to work at a startup, another jump up. And then at that startup, I had to learn so much more. And then I wanted to work at a corporation. And then I wanted to build my own product and launch a business. So every time you do this, hike up, you jump to a new phase. You're trying new challenges. You get into the comfort zone, you learn a lot about those things. Okay, I need a new challenge. I need something new. And I think some people, they just thrive like that. Some people, they specialize very well in something, but, sometimes you got to take a risk. And I think you have to take risks even after, you're young or something. Like, you have to keep on challenging yourself and finding your place.
Yeah, the very entrepreneurial spirit. I love that. I mean, you're going through this career. When did the idea of building this software and specifically the tool around AVO come from? How was that birthed?
So it's not a novel idea. I worked at the company which was using a similar product, but for a different stack, for a different programming language. And we moved so fast. It was a very polished product. It looked very nice. And we moved very, very fast. We almost built a new division inside the company because we could build our internal tools very fast. We didn't get bogged down with meaningless tasks that you build in every app that you build. And I was coming from a different stack, from a different programming language, where we didn't have this tool from Ruby and Ruby on Rails. And I said, like, Rails is so amazing it enables you to move fast, to build apps very, very fast. If we had something like that in Rails, that would be just amazing. It would be like the fastest technological stack that you could have. And I built it at first just to see if I could do it. It was the developer in me. Like, developers, they don't like to do marketing, sales, or anything like that. They want to build stuff. That's what they love. That's how they get their high, right? And I built it like for the first 6 months or something. On my weekends, I took a day off or something, or in the evenings. I just wanted to see how it was built, how it was so polished, and how we can make it like even better. And I did that for about 6 or 7 months. And then what happened? Some people started getting kind of interested in it. And then I took a month or two off of work. I told the current company where I was contracting, I said, look, I want to try this product for myself. I want to try to make this a product, a business. And I took a month or two off. I told them, like, I need a little bit of space. And it's been almost 5 years since then, since I took those 2 months off.
Hey, you're not coming back, or what's this? Yeah.
They called, but no, actually, I'm not going to do that.
That's funny.
Yeah, and that's how I got started, actually, just to see if I can do it.
That's incredible. So from building it to building a team and then marketing this, what does that journey look like? Because obviously your responsibilities have changed a lot from defining every line of code of this. So what maybe does focus for your day-to-day look like now? Is it running the business in a certain way? I know you're speaking a lot. Is it promotion?
Yeah. I definitely took a step back from development, which is, in my mind, the hardest thing that you can do as a developer, as somebody that loves coding, as somebody that loves producing something, because that's what I love. Like, I don't like to optimize things to the last millisecond. Those are other types of developers. I love creating stuff where people can click things and they get help and they get results and they move faster and they love it. And that's where I get my high from. And it was very difficult for me to actually move away. But just to rewind a little bit, so I started by myself. I tried to apply to Y Combinator. I got a few interviews. I built something. They didn't catch on, but I was started catching on, and I started building it. And slowly, I got a friend involved. So actually, it was a stranger from the internet. He loved the product, and he said like, "Hey, I'm looking to get like a second job for like like a side gig, because my regular job doesn't pay that much. If you hear somebody that needs something," and I told him like, "Hey, I don't have money to pay you that much. I had a customer who was paying me like $500 per month or something. And I took most of that money and I gave it to him like, hey, would you like this to be like your first part-time job? And you could be like the first employee and you can take all this money that, we are making." And he said yes. And we started working together. And after a year, he became a full-time employee. And then after another year, we actually did take a little bit of investment from Tiny Seed, which is a bootstrap friendly fund. And he now has skin in the game. He's an associate in the company. And as a result of that, for maybe a year, maybe 8-10 months, I've been doing very, very little development, which is tough on my end, but very little. So I'm trying to do business development, so marketing, sales, and other things like events right now, and doing community work and some other things which actually attract my kind of customer.
Yeah, specifically your customers as in developers.
Which developers are, as many people might know, very difficult to sell to. So it's difficult to sell to developers a tool that, I'm going to use air quotes, they can build themselves,
Sure.
Because again, like a developer wants to build stuff. That's what they want to do. And, when you want to give them something to use, sometimes you can get, a little bit of pushback from that. Yeah, so now most of my time is spent on marketing. We've been having for a few months, a very good streak of content creation. We are organizing, for example, our own event in September. It's a boutique conference of 100 and something people. I go to another like 4 or 5 conferences per year so people, they have to trust you to actually, like developers, they have to trust you to actually buy from you. They have to see that things, plainly said, your stuff. And I've been doing all of that and a little bit of sales, which is, not my strong suit, but I am trying. I'm doing my best.
Absolutely. So what does the team look like today?
So it's me and Paul full time, but we do have contractors in design, in legal, in copywriting, SEO. What else? Like all across the board, like wherever we need some help. Now we have the money, the funds to actually, pour it into that. Like, what do you need? We need this. Okay, let's do it. We need somebody to do that. Okay, let's go and find somebody to do that. We're trying to. So when we got this investment, we had quite a few dinners with mentors and past alumni, and I kept asking people like, what did you learn? What's the most important thing that you learned after you got this investment? And most people told me like, learn to spend some money. Because when you come from a place of scarcity, we actually bootstrapped this whole company, and we made like the first year I made $4,000 out of it. Like, it's nothing. The second year, 4,000. The third year, I think we tripled or something like. But again, we came from a place of scarcity. It was like every dollar counts. We won't sign up for this service because this counts. It's more than $20 per month or something. You know how it is. But once we got that investment, even though we were like profitable, we could pay ourselves. But we were still keeping an eye on the bottom line and on the like bank statement and accounts and everything. But now that we got this money, it's like, okay, learn to spend some money, try some things out, like throw $3,000 on ads, throw them, but invest them, like find somebody that
exactly.
like
What's the trigger that's gonna
Exactly. See what kind of impact it has. Like, do some work with influencers, like whatever you need. Like, learn to spend some money. So now we're kind of like trying that out again. We're not throwing the money away, but we are experimenting to see what is going to have the most impact for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, as far as building trust and with your audience, a lot of times I hear about testimonials. Can you talk about your current clients and what that's looked like for, their user experience, their retention? You said is it more of a subscription-based model?
Yes.
And so what that looks like?
Yeah. So when I first launched, the price tag was $100. You pay $100 once and you have it forever. Like, I was just hoping that people would use it. It was mostly like that. And I was speaking to a lot of developers, and that's kind of what I see in them as well, like hoping that you get this idea like, oh my God, I love this app that I built. Everybody must love it. So yeah. And then we slowly went into like a subscription. It's a SaaS now. We have two plans, cheap and expensive. One is yearly and one is monthly. We're working on pricing. Pricing is very, very difficult. And we are pivoting a little bit more up market. We're still trying to, to service our customers we have also a free tier. So we're trying to have this entry point of like community tier, we call it, which is free, of people and developers and teams which don't need more advanced features or they can't afford them right now, and then slowly upgrade them to the cheaper plan and then the more expensive plan if they need it. We have about like 200 and something ish customers. We've been having almost no churn for two years ish or something. But now I think actually like since last year a little bit, we've been starting to see the churn. And now we're trying, after some customer interviews and, asking for feedback, we've been hearing, people stop working on apps, they stop working on businesses, the project moved on, maybe they upgraded to something else. But it's kind of like, I think we're trying to see this kind of life cycle of somebody using our product, not everybody, but most people, like for about 3 years. So we are kind of seeing that
Sure.
a little bit sure. Yeah. How long somebody, yeah,
is pursuing their venture.
Exactly. So things that are kind of outside of our control. I mean, we're trying to help them as much as possible with the tools that we're providing them, support and everything else. But of course, the market is what it is. So, people move on, and that's that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like low code has been helping these developers, or maybe they're developers that are starting a company?
Yep.
Approach building and scaling?
Yep. So we have a few types of customers, and I'm going to talk about the customers who stick the most with us and they get kind of the most of the value, because I think that's what everybody's interested in. So the customers who really stick with us are small and medium-sized companies with 1 to maybe 5, 6 developers, or maybe maybe 3 developers on a team, and they need to move fast. They need to ship things. They need to ship things to improve their product. They don't want to mess around with internal tools. They don't want to mess around with dashboards, product listing, and things like these that everybody builds inside their app. Like it's not something that brings them value. It doesn't bring value to their customers either, right? It's something internal. But they do have a team of maybe 10, 20, 50, 100 people that do operations, that do analytics, that do some other things, and they need to give that information from their CRM, so basically their intranet, to that team. So AVO becomes their intranet, becomes their dashboards and admin interface where they can play around with their data. So for example, we have a customer from Sweden who does property management, and they have a team of 30 or 40 people, from housekeeping to actually operations, and then see like the CEO has access, so like upper management, and they can all go inside AVO and they can figure things out. They first of all they see like all the properties and if they're okay or not, and now they're going into this phase of like, okay, let's improve our operational, capacity. Let's see where we have our holes, right? And they have like this audit logging package where they can see what everybody is doing, right? When they clicked something like in progress to done or whatever, how long did that take? Could we improve that? Is there like a bottleneck there? So they get this observability and like vision into like the whole area, like the whole business, and they don't have to build that by hand, because it's not rocket science. It's not easy to, if you want to build it nice, but they want to build it. Their engineers are building other things, like totally different things, which are very concrete and specific for their business, and that's what brings value to their customers and so on. So these are the things like internal tools, dashboards, admins, intranets, CRMs, which nobody really wants to build. Like, you just want to use something, and you want something that's customizable, and, you can make it in your own way and shape it.
So almost like white labeling logistics for your business. Hey, you don't want to use Excel. You need something more robust. You've got a lot of dynamic pieces going. You have to have it so you can operate, but it's not your,
it's not your main thing. Yeah, exactly. So it's perfectly, you put it very well. Like, yeah.
Cool, like many people fit into businesses.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a little bit more powerful than Excel, because developers now have access to like all of their code, so they can do stuff with it. So, from Excel, maybe the next step is to digitizing it like Google Sheets or maybe Airtable, something like that. But again, developers, will have a hard time to like, keeping things in sync, and, and using something like AVO is like, oh my God, it's a new glove. It's a new tool. Like, we can really push this further.
And like you said, customizing to their business, whether it's integrating with other platforms or their data that they can feed in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite success story or something that really surprised you from a client?
I have a few of them actually, but one really, I saw it, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, when somebody from Shopify, he's a Shopify employee, they went to Africa on this, what do you call it? On this like 1 month adventure thing where they go and they help the people from Africa. And of course, he's a developer, and he built for them this whole like digital hospital inventory thing, like, and now they're running it, and they have access to like, managing their whole like and I was like, oh my God, this is the best success story. Then we have customers like BBC Maestros and other like security and healthcare companies, but this is so amazing. Like, it's making a difference somewhere where they really need it. So he went there and he said, like, in 2 weeks I had it all up and running. Now they're running it, and everything is like, everybody's very, very happy that they have this bird's eye view on all the digital aspects. Yeah.
I've heard a phrase called business as mission before. And it's like that feels like what that is. You step in, you give this whole technological thing that you did that in 2 days. What?
Exactly. Yeah. We have, customers in healthcare, in financing, in security, in all parts of the world, like, inventory management and all kinds of, because it's a very horizontal tool. Like, people are building incredible stuff. Actually, some people are building user-facing applications as well. So when their users log in, they actually see AVO so they can do their own thing. So,
but you mentioned that the audience is a little bit challenging because I can build it myself, and they come from this place of like, maybe is this the thing they want to be building themselves, or maybe they want to bolt it onto what they're doing. So can you talk about how you help customers get over that fear of adopting this and whatever hurdles of change they might have?
Yeah.
I mean, you've come from that mindset as a developer. I just don't know what insights you might have for people who are trying to convince literally kind of their peers of this new product they're launching or business they're doing.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because it took me, I've been doing this for 5 years-ish now, and it took me almost that long to learn this, like maybe a little bit less, but you can't make people use it. You can't, like, if somebody says, one of the most common phrases we hear from developers is, yeah, I can build this in a week. We don't need it. Like, can build, like, I can move faster by myself. And the harsh reality is, no, you can't. We've been doing it for years. And so definitely not. And every time I came in with an answer like, well, no, you can't. Well, let me show you how you cannot. Like, oh, you can build like a half of it, like not even half, like a 10%, and still it won't be like, let me tell you from my experience from like, my 10 years or like 15, you can't do that. So definitely don't try to push it on people, especially developers. We're a little bit more like, I do the same thing now, even though I have to sell to developers. Sometimes I do the same thing. So I try to do other things like content, like, definitely SEOs, but doing kind of showing that you're in the community, you are trying to help people. And, I definitely share from my experience, whatever I learned in AVO, things that, maybe there aren't too many articles about it. There aren't, many conference talks, and I go and talk about those things. And once people see kind of like, because when they watch a conference talk or when they read an article, they have a different cap on, the learning cap. They don't have that pushback cap where, let me tell you what I know, how, because I'm better than you. Or, no, okay, let me learn. And then when they see that, they'll see it like, oh, yes, you're right. Okay, okay, we can't build that in a week, right? So definitely don't try to push onto people, and try to get close to them in a different way. Ultimately, you have to be trustworthy. You have to show them that you're a person of knowledge in that field, and then you have to give something back. So these are like the three things that, I kind of summarize from a TikTok. I'm a big TikTok fan, unfortunately. So, there was this TikTok from a salesperson who said, like, you need these three things to do good sales. And once you do that, like, help them with something, become trustworthy and show that you're a knowledgeable person, they'll talk to you differently. They will open up, and you'll be able to tell them, or they'll be like, see, well, okay, you can't build this. Let me tell you how difficult it was. And then you can start the conversations towards, okay, maybe if you want to try, if you want to, like, you can try my product for an hour. This is what we always tell them, like, try it for an hour and you'll see if it fits, whatever. Some do it, some don't, but
yeah, it's almost like, I hear you saying, finding people in different spaces, whether I'm just relaxing and I'm scrolling TikTok and kind of digesting this in from my algorithm, or at a conference. Maybe even one of the things you mentioned about the product is the speed at which you can do things. And I sort of think about like a hackathon where you're trying to build something within 24 hours, 36 hours, or whatever, how that might apply to people trying to solve solutions and amplify the speed at which they could do something. You're smiling. That hitting something for you?
No, it is. Yeah, I'm smiling a little bit because I recently, so I went to MicroConf, and there was this person, Marco. Okay, I don't wanna mess his name. He's very good on pricing, and he said, like, when I ask founders, what's like something that your product does, what's the killer feature, or like the killer, and everybody said, like, most people say, like, speed. It's faster than whatever you do, like whatever your workflow. And then he shows like kind of this graph of like, he took a survey, and like speed was not the first thing where people, were looking for. Speed was somewhere at the end. They were looking like for something else, like, to be maintained and to do whatever and to do. And he said, like, of course it should be faster. Like, otherwise, why should I use your product? So stop bragging that it's fast. Like, of course it should be fast. It should look good. Like, those are like, non-starters,
That's
right?
the baseline, yeah.
So yeah, that's a baseline. So again, like, this is another tip for developers, and I'm trying to do that as well. Don't brag about speed. Of course it's going to be faster because that's why you're using it.
Yeah, Kevin Hart, I don't know if you know him, he's a comedian.
Yeah.
He goes, man, my friend's telling me, hey, I'm a good father. I don't beat my kids. He's like, you're not supposed to beat your kids. You're not supposed
Yes.
to.
Exactly.
That's so
exactly
funny.
it.
Yeah, your tech should be better. It should be faster. What's the value it brings to me in the end?
Exactly. Yep.
So as you look forward, as we're wrapping up, what features or trends, anything you're excited for AVO this year?
Yep. So I don't want to, so again, this is not a developers podcast. I don't want to go into the features, but we're doing like a revamp from AVO 3 to AVO 4, and we are building all kinds of things that would, again, make it an amazing intranet, from like collaboration features to notifications. So, you can collaborate more easily with your team inside it. But we are looking at AI as well. Everybody's doing that. Everybody's looking into AI. We've been looking into how to integrate it properly, how to make it something of value, because just bringing AI into it, just to have it, it's not worth it. I've been speaking to many AI people, and again, we are kind of figuring out where it will pack the most punch, and if we need to focus on that, and how. So yeah, we're building a new version. Looks better. It's going to be faster, of course.
Of course.
Of
It
course.
should be.
So yeah, more collaboration features. So it's going to bring more value to the customers.
Well, I thank you for being so honest. Honestly, if you want, I imagine that people who might see this might either go, I need to have a developer on my team, or they have a friend who's in development who has been, complaining to them about some bug they have or whatever they're complaining about. If you wanted, hey, you want to take a minute and speak to someone, if you have a developer friend, you want to forward this part, you want to skip them to this part of the podcast, Adrian, anything you would want to say to those developers, I can tell them already, hey, you don't need to do it, but you could use it.
Yep. Just give it an hour. That's what give it an hour and try to build something, and you'll figure it out very soon if it's for you or not.
Give it an hour. That's a great little slogan. I like that. So
you could spare an hour. Yeah.
So folks that say, yeah, want to give it an hour, what should they be doing? Where can they find out more about it? I mean, I know you mentioned TikTok. I can post handles and stuff in the show notes, but anything you want to share about how people can find you? And
yeah, so I'm not a big TikTok creator yet, but people can find AVO on avo.cool. So that's a domain name, avo.cool, or avohq.io. They can find me on adrianthedev.com, but that's not important. So avo.cool, and they'll for sure find my Twitter there. I'm Adrian the Dev everywhere. Whenever, if you need some help with anything from like a low-code, dev tool, selling to developers, conferences and community, definitely reach out, because I love talking about these things.
It's amazing. Well, you've definitely been showing that today. I mean, you got a packed schedule coming up with some conferences and taking time to chat with us on a very no-code language podcast. I appreciate that. And it's incredible to hear your story, how you've gone from being a developer to creating this thing that now can fit into the core of a lot of people's businesses that are trying to scale. So it doesn't really take away from what they are doing. It allows them to logistically execute in their business, is what it kind of sounds like AVO does.
Yep. Oh, you put it so well. Like, you put it so eloquently well. Yep.
Well, I'm trying to reflect back what I hear, and it sounds like a really cool solution, because it's not saying, hey, you need to have this widget to do what you do. It's saying you're doing what you're doing. You have a team. You don't want to be distracted. Yes. You don't want to stumble over this communication internally. So here's how this system does logistics dashboard for your everyday business kind of management.
That sounds exactly right. You have some new building blocks with which you can work on, and they are like a higher level of abstraction.
That's awesome. Well, Adrian, I appreciate your time and your openness. Now, for listeners, all the resources, links, highlights to the show notes, make sure you subscribe, share if you found it valuable today. And until next time, be on the playbook, keep building smarter things.
Thanks a lot, Taylor.